Hi, my name's Jason Broom and I'm from Colorado. So what thrills me about being in a Jeep is being able to get away from people, get away from the hustle and bustle of the city and all the demands of life, get away from cell service and notifications, and get out either solo or with a group of friends and camp. And whether you're 2 miles off the highway or 200 miles off the highway, just kind of getting out there in the peace and quiet, and also being able to push these machines and really see what they can do, tackle big obstacles or bomb down wash roads. It's so much fun to put that Jeep in four-wheel drive, and you get to those places where sometimes you get out and you're looking at your buddies and like, I don't know if we can make it through this, and you figure out a way and you see these Jeeps just climb up these big rock ledges and pull through it, and it's just so much fun to watch. So what drew me to AEV was that I had started out in the Jeep world by building kind of what some people call piecemeal builds or Franken builds, and I went with one manufacturer for a suspension system, control arms and springs, and a different manufacturer for shocks, and then I ended up changing those springs and shocks out. And as I got to know that Jeep more and I got out with friends and I started pushing it to its limits, I saw several friends that had AEV vehicles or AEV suspension on their vehicles, and I saw those vehicles just performing just as well as that build I had put together and doing all those things that I thought that this build could do that other builds couldn't do. And I saw these AEV vehicles just going through it without a problem at all. I also saw the benefits of the cohesion of AEV's system design, where they engineer everything to work together. And what I noticed about when I drove my friends' Jeeps was their suspension felt firmer around the corners, plusher on washboard roads and wash roads that we were bombing down. And as I started researching AEV, I learned that they tune their springs and their shocks, and they work together. They also take into consideration things like wheel offset, scrub radius, and making sure these wheels tuck up into the fender flares when you're articulating off-road. I also saw the benefits of the clearances on their bumpers. The bumper design is just, I think, second to none. I think they're the most attractive bumpers made for the Jeep platform, and the things that AEV does to produce those bumpers, like stamping them, that no one else is doing, and using cutting edge materials like hot stamp boron steel that's stronger than thicker plate steel, and keeps the weight light, while also looking at all of the design details and things like clearancing the rear corner tubes so you have a higher clearance when you're dropping off rock ledges, making sure there's recovery points, making sure there's a place for a high lift jack to attach to the bumper, which like the Jeep factory bumpers don't do, even though they are steel, or some of them are steel. Things like making sure you can see the winch line spool. All of those little details are so well thought out. Everything is such an integrated look, and because of the way they design and engineer and produce their products, they're able to get a lot tighter tolerances. And honestly, on the JL, this is my second JL. I had to have the 392. It just sounds beautiful, but on my first JL, it had the factory steel bumper, and when I put the AEV steel bumper on it, I was like, man, this thing is better engineered for this Jeep than the factory bumper was. It's tighter up against the grille, it's higher clearance, it has a better approach angle, and all of those things that AEV has attention to detail just go to show why they're getting into the OEM partnerships, and they're doing things like the 20th anniversary Rubicon upfit and the GM and Chevy upfits. And it's just, it's an amazing machine that performs exactly like I need it to. The OEM mentality they have of designing to OEM standards and making sure that it's going to be a robust platform that is as maintenance-free as possible, that doesn't squeak, that doesn't rattle, that doesn't have you having to go get an alignment and adjust control arms and then realign it, and all these little things that you have to do with some of the other suspension companies. And some of those products are great, and for the people that need them, they're perfect. But for me and for what I do and how I use a Jeep, it's maintenance free, it is reliable, and those things are qualities that I want in a Jeep, because I've done several cross-country trips, and I know that, you know, if I bend a control arm, I can go into a Jeep dealer and get a new one. Something else happens with any of the AEV equipment, it's under a lifetime warranty, because this is an AEV build. It came from the factory, went to AEV, they built it. These parts are under a lifetime warranty. I can walk into any one of their AEV Jeep upfit dealers and I can say, hey, I've got an issue, and AEV is going to help me solve it. But I think the ultimate favorite way that I enjoy my Jeep is kind of those expedition adventures that I go on with friends, and we, you know, we'll plan out a loop or a series of roads, and we just go get lost on BLM land, and you know, we'll sometimes end up on a public road through private land that intersects with BLM land, and getting away from everything else in our lives that we've got going on every day. And I think that's, you know, the favorite part about owning a Jeep like this that can get out there and reliably get me to these remote places and get me back home.